A Love is Blind contestant has been charged with attempted murder. Love is Blind, the show on Netflix, you guys have probably watched it. I've watched it. It's a big show and it's spread around the world fairly quickly. It started in the US in 2020 and expanded into now 11 countries around the world. There is a Love is Blind Brazil, Love is Blind Japan, Sweden, UK, Germany, Argentina, Mexico, you get it. And if you don't know, it's essentially a social experiment in which single men and women all look for love and get engaged all before meeting in person. They fall in love without ever seeing each other, only talking through a wall in what the show calls pods. Once the proposal happens, then you're taken on a trip with the other couples, spending time with your now fiance for the first time ever, then you move in together, then the wedding happens. All of that is filmed, and then the show ends with the wedding showing all the remaining couples either saying I do or I don't. It's a pretty crazy concept, but entertaining nonetheless. Love is Blind Argentina began to air in November 6, 2024. Among the contestants was 29-year-old Santiago Martinez, a charming guy with decent chat, and a 24-year-old woman named Emily. Emily was a journalism student from Buenos Aires. She seems like such a sweet, kind-hearted person. She went on the show, like everyone else, to find love, and Emily from the start was very forthcoming about her reasons for going on the show. On camera, she opened up about a previous relationship that she was in that ended up being really toxic, quite aggressive, and all in all, very unhealthy and damaging to her mental health. And she was very open-minded about doing this Love is Blind experiment with the hope of finally finding a happy, healthy relationship. And there was a point in which she thought that she found it with Santiago. In the pods, they were both very vulnerable with each other. Emily shared a lot of things that she had been through in the past, really putting herself out there, but it was going well. Emily and Santiago were the first couple out of all the participants on the show to get engaged. There were a total of 5 proposals in their season. They fell in love through a wall. On the show, Santiago talked a lot about how he had had this dream about a girl named Emily, saying that he didn't know what she looked like, obviously, but he knew the name from his dream, and that meant something to him. He proposes, she says yes. The day after is the reveal in which they see each other for the first time. The doors open, they see each other for the first time, walk towards each other, and they were happy. And at the end of the show, they go through with the wedding. They say I do at the altar. Her family approved of him. Emily and Santiago themselves were excited, and it seemed like love was indeed blind. But as we know, not everything that we see online is true, because behind closed doors, things between the couple were not all rainbows and butterflies. In fact, they were far from it. After the wedding on the show and when their season ended, Emily and Santiago wanted to plan to get married again, but in a more intimate setting with their loved ones and no cameras. But it was when they were in the early stages of planning for that Santiago's behavior towards Emily took a very scary turn. There had been red flags. For example, on the show, when the couple took the trip to Tulum, Mexico to spend quality time with each other for the first time after the engagements, Santiago was known to be very emotional, but not in control of his emotions. At least not in the way that Emily had hoped that he would be, because he would get jealous and then Emily would have to communicate her boundaries again to him, saying, I have been in a toxic relationship before, I do not want that again, so let's work on this before we say I do. Santiago also openly said that his past relationships hadn't worked out because he had a habit of hurting people that he loved. Red flag. Another scene on the show that was particularly alarming was one in which Santiago was seen abruptly taking Emily's plate away because he believed that she was eating too much. Things like that felt very, very much so controlling in nature, but Emily was happy before things really went south, or at least she was trying to be. She would later say, quote, he would get upset about anything I did that did not make him feel safe. Then he would tell me that I was the love of his life and apologize while crying, end quote. So it was this cycle of control, anger, apology, and love over and over again. Emily stayed because she loved him, or she thought that she did, or she wanted to, because she believed that he would change, and because she had already announced to the world that she was so happy that this was her second chance at love. I also feel like it takes a special kind of evil person to sit there and listen to this person tell you about past relationships that have really, really hurt them and let them be vulnerable to you, to sit there and listen and then comfort them, only to turn around and do the worst thing that you could possibly do and put their life in extreme danger on purpose, fully knowing that that person trusts you. That is not what love looks like, by the way. I know I have young listeners. Do not put up with that, because that will not end well. You don't deserve it. Nobody does. And obviously, I'm not saying that Emily did anything wrong at all. Obviously, she had no idea of knowing that this would happen. All she is guilty of is trying to love this guy. By early 2025, the couple had announced that they were getting married in a church ceremony with family for their 1-year anniversary, and Emily's mother and sisters decided to throw her a bachelorette party. It was a fun night until it wasn't. Because when she got home that night, Santiago was waiting, and he wasn't talking to her at first, but he was very, very clearly angry. He was furious about the bachelorette party, about the fact that she went, about how she had dressed, about what he had seen on social media about it. He was not having it. He grabbed her phone and told her that she wasn't going anywhere. He told her that she had disrespected respected him by going out and having fun, and said that that's not how a woman in a relationship should behave. She tried to leave, quote, I asked him to please stop locking the door to the room, that I wanted to leave. He told me that if I left, I should take all my stuff, end quote. So she started packing, and then Santiago snapped, calling her names, launching himself at her, knowing that he could easily overpower her. Quote, he threw himself at me and started to and covered my mouth so I wouldn't scream. I bit his hand so he would let me go, and then he pushed my face against the bed and started hitting me on the head, end quote. He also spat on her in the middle of everything, pinning her down and bringing up that he saw videos of her having fun and dancing on TikTok, saying something to the effect of, oh, well, you weren't crying then, how about you cry now? Emily was terrified that she would not make it out of the apartment that night. She feared for her life. And in an attempt to save her life, she, I guess, pretended to be on his side. She knew that she had to calm him down so he would not keep hurting her. She tried her best to neutralize the situation and act like everything was fine. When he cooled off and started cleaning up, Emily then slipped out of the apartment and she ran. She fled to her family's house to hide out from Santiago. And as soon as she could, she filed a complaint with the public prosecutor. She reported Santiago Martinez for gender-based violence and attempted murder. A couple of days later, this was all over social media in Argentina. And because they were very much so a public couple, I imagine that she was getting a lot of people reaching out to her for interviews. She agreed to go on a morning show, and when she did, she had a black eye and she was very clearly emotional. That interview went viral across Argentina. Her mother would later tell the court that when Emily came home after leaving Santiago that night, she looked disfigured with a bruised and black swollen eye. When news of this report broke, Santiago's initial response was published. He referred to the incident as a family fight and sent Emily a message that was broadcasted publicly, quote, obviously I'm not asking you to forget, but I can assure you that those days of fighting, shouting, insults, getting angry, and changing are going to disappear. And yes, I failed you and I made mistakes like I never thought I would in my life. My childhood traumas and that shitty childhood finally surfaced, and I'm willing to work on it to fix it. By the way, this is all translated, so I'm sorry if it's not word for word exactly, and if anything is wrong in the comments and you know it, please just comment it down below. We can figure it out together. Anyway, prosecutors would later use this public apology as a confession that the fight did in fact take place. He was saying that he did things that he regretted because he knew that he did. Santiago Martinez was arrested in early March 2025 at his parents' house. Emily heard about the arrest while she was at her parents' house where she had been staying since fleeing the relationship, and when her lawyers called to tell her, she broke down in tears, not of sadness this time, but of relief. Quote, the fear will continue to be there, but knowing that he is in custody gives me a little peace of mind and security when I go out on the street, she added. Quote, I was really afraid because I didn't know what he could do. Seeing the news about girls who made complaints and unfortunately lost their lives at the hands of these aggressors, obviously it hurts, and you know that you could end up being one of them. That is why the fact that he is behind bars today gives me a little peace and tranquility, end quote. Oh, and I forgot to say, when things were made public, Santiago went over to Instagram to try and defend himself, saying, quote, the first thing I want to say is that I do not justify violence in any way. I was the first person to acknowledge my mistake and to apologize privately. And today I publicly take responsibility for what I did, but that does not mean I take responsibility for trying to kill the woman I loved. All of that was unfounded and created by the media circus. Criminal experts said in the reports that the injuries were minor, that there were never any danger of death, and that she was always free to do whatever she wanted to do, end quote. I'm happy to say the court disagreed with him. His conviction was announced March 25th of 2026. Santiago Martinez was sentenced to 15 years in prison after the court found him guilty of all 3 charges. That same day, Emily spoke to the press outside of the courthouse saying, quote, I can't believe it. I feel it's over. I'm finally going to have peace. Justice has been done. I have 15 years of peace ahead. I don't know what will happen when he gets out, but I hope that the justice system continues to protect me. If he tried to when I gave him everything, I can't imagine what he might try to do to me or my family after 15 years of anger. We need reality TV shows to start doing more serious background checks into the people that they bring onto TV. In an entirely different situation, Emily could not be here today. That is all I have for today. Let me know if you guys have heard about this. I have not seen this much on social media, so curious to know who has heard about this, or maybe if you watched that season, let me know your thoughts. Anyway, that's it from me today. Thank you guys for spending time with me today. I hope you guys are having the best day. If not, go do something to make it the best day. Make somebody happy, and I will see you in my next video. Massive kiss on the forehead to every single one of you.